Oh, I got to get the other one to connect. There we go. What's going on, everybody? Episode 2 of the podcast. Here again today with Kris. Got a little better setup, so now you can see him, which is great. How you been?
Doing well, man. Had a busy weekend.
Yeah, you told me that you woke up at 2 a.m. What was that all about?
Yeah. Well, funny story. We were supposed to do the podcast yesterday,
Yeah.
and I fell asleep. So I fell asleep pretty early yesterday, and then woke up at 2 and decided that I should just get to work. So went to work at 2, and been on the plane all day.
So, where were you working at? What were you working on?
This morning,
When you first woke up.
when I first woke up, I created a job post, sent out a job request,
Pinhead.
and then I analyzed some real estate deals.
This dude commented Pinhead.
Did some multifamily analysis as well as some flips in the local market where I'm
Uh-huh.
at.
What's going on, everybody? We're talking about what he did this morning when he woke up at 2 a.m. on a Sunday. Pretty ridiculous in my opinion, but I mean, he got a lot of stuff done. This week's episode is actually going to be about taking action, so it's really important. That story kind of came up. So, what's good, bro? Just hanging out, doing the podcast, things like. What's up, Slow Burn, Mr. Slow Burn? Okay. So for taking action, why is it so important that people do that? What do you think?
Well, the idea of taking action is to create circumstances that you want in your life and not be a victim where you feel like things just happen to you and you just can't get out of it, right?
Right.
You should manifest the things that you want to happen, and you do so by taking action.
Okay.
As opposed to letting things come to you, right? Like saying, "Oh, well, sooner or later I'll start that project." When the time is right. Well, the time is never right.
Well, so how much time do you want to put into an idea before you start taking action, you think? Is there like a set amount, or is it until you come up with this perfect equation, or is there even a perfect equation? What do you think?
So it depends on the idea. Ideally,
Yeah.
this is what happens with me and my thoughts. So I think of something.
Yeah. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Immediately reverse engineer how I'm going to make it happen. And then it's a pretty clear step of, okay, here's 1, 2, 3, 4 actions to take. But you also really need to consider life, right? So the things that you can't foresee happening.
Consider the things you can't foresee happening.
Yeah, like I can plan out my day to a T, but sometimes I forget to make time for, okay, I got to call my mom, or my mom calls me, and next thing you know, I'm on the phone for like 40 minutes, and then that 40-minute block of time is no longer available to me. So, it's
So you don't believe in work-life balance at all, then, do you? You just say, "Man, I can't even talk to my mom. She's wasting my time."
not exactly. I definitely speak with my parents and
Yeah.
make
What's
time
going on,
with
everybody?
friends and stuff, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, doing those things that aren't going to provide myself value or like move me forward,
Yeah.
They prolong the time it takes for me to accomplish something,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just the reality of it.
So what are the big roadblocks that are stopping people from taking that first step into the action, from whatever it is that they're doing? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Whatever they're passionate about, whatever they want to do in life, what are the major roadblocks that, stop a person from going from step 0 to step 1?
Fear of what other people will think, fear of failure. Those are the main ones, because I think when it comes to like social media, there's
Yeah.
a lot of trying to portray a certain, I don't know, maybe a facade that you put on.
A facade,
right?
yeah.
It's not really you, but you try to be someone you're not.
Yeah, I kind of have a pinhead facade that I'm trying to put out there to people right now, personally. He said, Mr. Slowburn, he said, "I feel like it's people overthinking." So he's saying it's not fear of what other people are saying. It's fear, or maybe not fear, but it's, yeah, I think that does tie into some kind of fear. Fear of perfection, almost, He has to have the perfect plan set up. He also said, or like how people are gonna see them. So that would be kind of fear of what other people are thinking. You know, thinking that I look like a pinhead. I mean, if I was afraid of that, then I wouldn't be here on a live video. But
You brings up a good point about perfection, and
yeah.
you know, I'm a perfectionist by nature, right? So I've always tried to perfect everything before I start something. But I would say, like in the last year, I realized that, you know, it's all about getting started. It's not about being perfect, because you can, you know, once you get started, then you make tweaks along the way, just like we're doing now, right? Like podcast episode 2, we got like this strange setup, you know, you're kind of going back and forth, but you know, eventually we'll figure out what's going to work best for us.
Yeah, this isn't perfect. It doesn't have to be. But then he also said, Lewis said, fear of not fitting into society, and I kind of find that one kind of interesting because, like, me personally, growing up, I never really fit in with, you know, the majority of people, so I kind of stood out in that way, but I could connect with each and every individual group, but it was never like a real, you never have that tight bond that you would have with growing up with your friends and family or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So when I got to this age, I kind of took the fear of not fitting in and just threw it out the window, because, I mean, that's been the main story, right? Is that oh wow, he's going off, man. Let me the
let's get him on video.
I don't know if I can do that. Maybe another time, but the way you want to, or how you thought you wanted to, because you're different, everyone is different. Okay, so slow down. So you got a bunch of great ideas, Lewis, but let me ask you this. So I'm gonna ask you this. I'm asking Lewis, what's the one thing, Lewis, that you're wanting to do that you haven't started? Because it's pretty clear that you have a lot of different explanations as to why you didn't start something, but what is that thing that you're trying to start? Let's give him some time to comment. While he's doing that, why do you think people fail when they start up? They're going for a couple weeks and then they fail. What's that story?
The main thing is that I've seen, and this has happened to me as well, it's results. So
results.
Yeah, when you start something new, you know, the majority of the time you have like a learning curve where there's a learning period where you have to learn about what you're doing. You can't just jump in and make $1 million.
I mean, I wish I could. That'd be great, right?
That would be sick. Very few people that are, you know, quote unquote overnight sensations like that. So yeah, I think like
overnight sensations, like that Cash Me Outside girl. I don't know if have you been keeping up with her at all? No?
I've only seen the video once.
You're missing out because now she's a rapper.
She's $1 millions now.
What?
Worth $millions. She's
oh
at
yeah.
Ty Lopez's house, like, dude,
yeah.
She's making it.
Yeah, she was at Ty Lopez's house, and then she had a picture of her with Kodak Black. I mean, dude, I don't care if people think that people may think smart. She's stupid, but she's dumb. She's smart. I said that backwards, but I mean, Daniela Bregoli is really smart because her whole family, it's like the Kardashians, it's like her family is taking it and putting it into a business, but she's doing something that not everybody's doing, and that's simply taking action. She took action in the studio to now make some raps or whatever. I mean, they're okay, but I don't know. It's whatever. So back to what you're saying about why people fail, and then I'm gonna get into what Lewis has to say. I see his comment there.
Okay.
But let's finish that train of thought about why people are failing, having to do with the results.
Yeah. So people don't see results as quick as they want.
Right.
And,
right.
What ends up happening is like we look on social media and we see like Ty Lopez, you know, $millions, nice car, nice house, and he just has to send out one email and he can make $1 million, right? But
yeah.
For us, like, we're not at that point. We don't have that influence.
Right.
So, you know, I think a lot of people think, okay, well, he's here and I'm here, so I need to be able to make this jump quick. But in reality, you know, life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, man. Ty Lopez, I've been watching him pretty closely, and he talks about how, you know, he's been working on doing his thing for 10 to 20 years, really. So, you know, he's not kind of a get-rich-quick kind of guy either. And anyway, so Lewis says that honestly started my dream of being a diesel mechanic because I've always liked diesel trucks and working on them, but I feel as if I don't have the experience, I will fail. So I have this roadblock set up in my head that I'll never make it to see that day where he's working on those diesel trucks. Yeah, diesel trucks. That's interesting because I actually work with diesel vehicles in the military, and one thing I'm gonna say about that is like I didn't even know how to check the tire pressure on my regular car when I went in, and seriously, I didn't know. I'd never done it, whatever. And now I can, check to make sure everything's okay on the entire front engine compartment area on a diesel truck. I mean, I'm not a mechanic, obviously, but really that just comes down to, learning. And if you're going to school for that, then you're kind of just, boom, you get everything you need. But if you're not, I'm not sure if you mentioned how you're going to learn about it, but you didn't. But that's fine. YouTube, man. YouTube is gold for learning a trade or something like that. That's what I would say. What do you think?
Yeah. One thing I would add is mentor. So go
Oh,
find
yeah.
someone who's already doing that. Who's
Yes.
got 20, 30 years of experience where
Yeah.
you can just say, hey, man, I'll work for free. Just let me watch how you do things. And then, let's give it 6 months down the road, let's fast forward, and
Yeah.
you're a pretty good mechanic already.
Yeah.
You have a mentor telling you, hey, that's wrong or that's right.
And I don't know how much experience he has, but if he has a little bit of experience and knows how to work on regular cars, he can work at a place like Jiffy Lube or Brake Place or whatever. And I mean, I'm sure there's diesel vehicles that come in there. Whenever they come in, just ask as many questions as you possibly can about that to learn everything that you need.
That's the point.
So hopefully we helped him out a little bit there.
Good luck, man.
Yeah. He's
Hope to see you on in a couple months and see some action.
I know, right? Show us like the diesel vehicle he's working on or something. I can see that right now. But he's living up in Waltham. Well, I don't know if he's still in Waltham, but I used to know him from Waltham, Massachusetts. So it's crazy how years pass, and yet I'm still being connected with people from different states. And I know you can relate to that.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing, man.
Yeah. So anyway, about taking action, you told me about this book that you read, actually. I think you picked it up today or yesterday, and it had a pretty interesting quote that kind of motivated you. Did you want to share that?
Yeah, I'll just give you the backstory. So
Okay.
So I traveled for work, and I ended up connecting with a guy like back in June. Met with him in Florida when I was on vacation, and he lived like an hour south of where I was working last week. And so I was like, hey man, we should have a sit down and just kind of talk, bounce ideas off of each other. So we went and met, and before we left, he's like, hey man, I got you a book. I'm like, what? So I picked up the book and I was reading it, and it has like a pretty interesting quote. Kind of goes along with taking action.
Right.
And it goes a little something like this. So I'm just going to read from the book. So bear with me. So every day I wake up in beast mode. If you are not financially free, or if you are not living the life you've always dreamed of, there are no days off, period.
No days off?
The balance of life is good only after you're financially free. Every day when you wake up, you must become the lion you were born to be. You must wake up with a beast-like attitude that says, I will accomplish all of my goals today and let nothing get in my way. This is the way of champions. This is the way of legends. The ones truly at the top don't give a fuck about excuses or circumstances. They only care about results. And you are the only one that can determine your results. So go all in.
I like that. It's all about results at the end of the day. It's all about results. Lewis said that he got a job at an auto part delivery place. So I'm sure you can get some value out of that. But
sure. Yeah, so that was just kind of a quote from a book that I've been reading. Do you have any quotes? Or?
Oh, dude, I do. There's this one quote, right? And I absolutely love it. And I've started to live by it, honestly. Like, since I came across it first, I might have came across it in a podcast. I heard it and then I put it down. But, as I grow and mature, I've just been thinking about it more and more and more and more and more. And I'm implementing it in my life, and I have it up on my wall, so let me get out of frame for just a sec. In my walks, every man I meet is my superior in some way. And in that, I learn from him. And let me go back to say how I was saying that I implement that quote in my life is because I was at a local Lowe's or whatever, and I was picking up a weed eater for my new lawn care business, right? And there's this dude, and he was just in the same aisle as me, and he kind of looked a little off. I mean, a little druggy maybe. And then when he started talking, it came off weird, like he had a little slow maybe. But just like that quote says, every man is superior to me in some way, right? I started asking him about things just in that aisle, about the lawnmower bag, and how, he explained how he doesn't use it because then he has to make a bunch of trips back and forth from there to a trash bag. And then there's some wheel adjusters on each side of a lawnmower. Most of them have 2, but some of them have 4. And he said the reason why you'd want 4 is so that you don't have to replace both of the wheels and the thing that goes in the middle. You just replace that one little piece, and then you're all good to go. So, like I said, in my walks, every man I meet is superior in some way, and in that I learn from him. So I just think that's a super powerful quote, and it's not necessarily about taking action, but it's something that I really embody. So somebody just entered, the quote was, in my walks, every man I meet is my superior in some way, and in that I learn from him. And I was telling a story about I learned about lawn mowing from somebody that seemed a little off. But anyway.
Well, yeah, I'd like to piggyback on that point.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That approach and the mindset is a very humbling one, because you go into each conversation not knowing what the other person can teach you, but you do know that they know more about a certain subject or something that you do not know. Right. So I had a very similar experience I basically went into Home Depot. Like we had a tenant trash one of our properties, and so we had to replace a lot of stuff. Well, one of the things, the fan was broken. Okay. The fan was messed up. So I went in, my buddy and I, my business partner and I, went into Home Depot, and we just went to the fan aisle, like flagged down a woman, and we said, we know nothing about fans. Teach us how a fan works. And so, like, she laughed at us, thought we were stupid, but, like, I don't care. I want to learn how this fan works so that I can put it together and minimize my costs that it takes, to fix it. So yeah, we just became students and learned how the fan worked. Then the next thing we did, went right to the kitchen area, said, hey, I know nothing about the kitchen, the sinks, the plumbing. Tell me a little bit more about it. And, just became students. Yeah.
So why do you think it's so important to humble yourself in that way? I really like that word that you said, humbling.
Well, I think, and this is just my opinion, because when you begin to think you're superior, you close your mind off and you become less aware of the fact that someone may know something you don't know, and therefore it could cause you to miss an opportunity to learn. Because you may think you know everything.
That kind of reminds me of today's politics, honestly. The left side is like, I'm right, you're wrong. The right side's, I'm right, you're wrong. And then they never really get anything done. But so what you're saying is if you humble yourself, then you become more open to other people's ideas.
Yeah, and it just makes you, I think, it just makes you more aware of the situation and how you can learn from literally any situation.
So why do you want to learn about everything? Einstein, what's up with that?
Well, it's not necessarily to learn about everything. It's like, I want to know a little bit about everything just so I have an idea. Like, for a great example is, let's say you're dealing with a contractor, right? If you don't know a little bit about how the plumbing works or the electrical works, like the contractor could really screw you on a price and you wouldn't know any better. Yeah. But being a student and learning a little bit about each portion of what goes into building a house, you can say, okay, well, I know that HVAC is going to cost $7,000. Yeah. Why is he quoting me at $10,000 for that?
Did
and
that
then you just kind of go from there.
did that happen to you? Did you kind of get bamboozled a little bit?
No,
No.
but here pretty soon, I
That's
feel
good.
like I might. So
Oh yeah.
we'll see. Maybe next week I can come back and say, remember that one time, and explain what happened. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But in terms of like I listened to a podcast recently.
Oh yeah.
It was Lewis Howes and this guy Brendan Bouchard, I think.
Hmm.
He had a really interesting approach to life
Mm-hmm.
in that he's had a couple like near-death experiences, and he kind of, I guess his approach to life is, at the end of the day, you ask yourself, well, did I live my life to the fullest?
Oh yeah, I love that. I love
Did
that.
the things that I wanted to do and live the life I want to live to be fulfilled?
Yeah.
And to me, that kind of reverts back to taking action
Oh,
because,
completely.
like I have dreams, I have goals that I want to accomplish, and I feel fulfilled currently because I'm on this path and the journey that I want to be on, and I'm having such a good time. Like,
Yeah.
it's the coolest thing. But
So,
like,
Carol?
at the end of the day, if I was to, let's say, not take action on something I knew I should have, that would create regret. And then fast forward 10 years, if you do that once a day, you got a compounded effect of regrets that
Mm-hmm.
Just cause you to feel unfulfilled.
What's up, Daniel? You want to recap that real quick for? Oh, never mind. He's gone. Okay. They're dropping like flies, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say about that is that I remember hearing, it might have been on Tim Ferriss. They were talking about the number one reason. It could have been Ty Lopez. The number one reason for people. Number one. Yeah, I think the number one regret when they're on their deathbed, or number one reason, number one thing that they think of on their deathbed, like, and it comes down to taking action. Oh, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have been a diesel mechanic. Or I wish I would have been a male juggalo, which is one of my no, I'm kidding. But seriously, it comes down to just going against the grain, doing whatever the fuck you want to do, and living life the way that you want it to play out. Because the number one reason why people aren't happy when they're about to die is because they realize they just put their life on autopilot and went to work every single day, and that's all they did.
Yeah, they got comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing, man. Yeah. But at the same time, now that we're on the comfortable topic, I feel like people have a superpower who can be complacent and can be comfortable where they are. Because for me, I have a bug in me. I have a fire in me. I can't just, have the same standard of living, do the same thing over and over and over again. I can't do it. I can't stay comfortable. I'm happy where I am. But I'm not satisfied. I need more. I need more and more and more and more and more. So I really do think that, in a way, it's a superpower to see people who can be that comfortable. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think what ends up happening is people get into a routine, and the routine creates a habit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty easy to pick it up.
What's up, Vaughn? What's up, Sue? Or her?
And here's the reason why is because in life you associate things with either pain or pleasure, or a mix of both, right?
Uh-huh.
So if eating chips brings you more pleasure than it does pain, you're going to continue eating chips until it gets to the point where it causes more pain than pleasure. And that's just the honest truth. So, and that goes with anything in life. So if you are driving to work, an hour and a half every day, working a dead-end job,
Yeah.
It's going to take to that point where that pain, like the pain of going to that job outweighs the pleasure of earning that income, or whatever it may be.
And then that's what... Is
Maybe
that what you're
enough
saying
is
is...
enough.
Say it again? You got a little
I
cut
was
off.
saying that. Say that again?
Oh, you're getting cut off a little bit.
Oh. So I was saying is like, it's got to get to the point where showing up to the job causes more pain
Yeah.
than the pleasure of earning that income.
Right.
So it's only when you get to that point will you start taking action and saying, "Hey, enough is enough. I'm done."
Okay, see, when you were saying about people going from a job and then getting pain out of it instead, you're talking about them then taking action like at 60. I thought you were going to go and say when they feel the pain from the job, that's when they go into retirement and say, fuck it, I'm going to live off the pension plan. And then they're still comfortable. And then they never do what they want to do and then regret.
Yeah, and I had a conversation on the plane recently. Someone was talking about how, I just can't wait.
What's up, Escobedo?
I can't wait for these next 10 years to pass by so I get my retirement.
Yeah.
and I hadn't told this woman what I was doing yet.
Yeah.
And when I gave her the spiel, she was extremely in awe because she didn't know that was a way. And the way basically is to be financially free, to retire by 30. Not from a pension plan, but from real estate, building wealth long term, and doing what I want to do, whether that be creating an online business, real estate, whatever. I told her, I said, look, I'm not working past 30. I will have been retired by the time I'm 30, and hopefully sooner. From a 9 to 5 per se. I know I will forever work for myself.
Right.
Because I have it ingrained in me to be doing something all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm just gonna retire and then go hang out on the beach for years.
That's what I was gonna say. Escobedo says, "Love what you're doing, brother. I appreciate that, man." So what were you planning on doing after 30? After you retire, what does that mean? What are you gonna do with all your time? If you don't do things in your life, your brain is gonna grow dead, more or less.
Exactly.
So what are you gonna do?
But if you don't continuously grow and become stagnant, if you become stagnant, you essentially die. And I say die, I mean you stop growing. Your mindset.
No. Actually, your brain, in elderly people when they retire, they get Alzheimer's. They get all those bad. I don't know all of them, but their brain literally starts deteriorating. So what are you going to do at 30 when you're retired? You're not going to work. What are you going to do?
Well, I say retire as a 9 to 5. Let me clarify. I will work for myself. The end goal is to be out of a 9 to 5 by the time I'm 30.
What's going on Facebook?
But yeah, I would hope for it to be sooner.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's in the plan is for it to be sooner.
So what do you?
I'm using 30 as kind of a cushion.
But still, are you just doing real estate after 30, or are you doing something else?
Yeah. So my idea is to grow businesses and scale them, because what I want to do is focus my time on doing what I love. So I love business. I love meeting people and connecting. Hopefully I can mentor people. And maybe it looks like me playing golf, every morning at 9 a.m. I'm not to that point yet. I'm still kind of in the mode of hey, I want to focus on taking action and getting there.
Yeah.
I have preliminary things set up, but there's nothing.
What's up, Michaela?
I don't have my retired days planned out,
I guess, but what do you think about golf? I don't know. I just think it's kind of a waste of space personally, but playing golf every day, talking about you like Donald Trump or something? What is this?
Well, so Joe, have you played golf before?
Mini golf?
Well, so golf is a very mental game. It's you against you, dude.
Okay.
It's very mental, and that's what I like about it. I like the mental challenge.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense then, because we're both kind of like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm still gonna try it.
You're always challenging yourself, regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah, I still think that the land would be better used for farm or buildings, but to each their own, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe you could go buy all the golf courses and put up.
Go buy them just to put something there instead.
Yeah, and just say F you to all the golfers.
I don't know. Would it even be counted as just land? Because I don't think it would be. I think it would be counted something else, and it'd probably be very expensive to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like for instance, I know a gentleman who purchased a golf course, and then the architect who built the golf course died, and the golf course went up like 5x in value.
Wow.
Because the architect that created the golf course was so significant.
He was significant in what way?
Because he designed golf courses, and they were extremely, elegant or difficult or whatever the case may be, but it drew attention to the course.
Very golfy.
Huh?
Very golfy.
Yeah. So. But anyway, so yeah, you already went over your quote for the week, right?
Yeah, I did, man. I did. Maybe if we can get one last question from one of the viewers on Instagram, and then we'll wrap it up. What do you think?
Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Or Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Only Instagram. That's the only one that's allowed to have questions right now. Okay. So Escobedo is asking, do you guys have vision boards? And
Oh yeah.
okay, go for it. Let's hear it. If you can share it. I don't know if you can share everything, but.
Well, I'll show you my vision board. I don't have like the board itself because I travel.
Yeah.
So I have like my travel vision board. Give me just 1 second. Let me get it out, and I'll show you.
Yeah, AKA pieces of paper. Right.
Do what?
I said AKA pieces of paper.
Exactly.
Yeah. So make sure you're kind of explaining everything on it for a audio only listener.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and they really can't see too well exactly what that laptop is anyway. So just do your best to describe.
Well, I'll just say what the photo is, and then explain why it's there.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I on my vision board I have incantations, so things that I say to myself to tie emotion with the motion of saying it. I have quotes that I read every day, and then I have actual pictures. So one of the photos is of two people on a beach. They have their hands up, and it says "debt-free life." So that's being out of debt. I have like student debt, stuff like that. So that's like the idea of where I want to be. I have one where some chairs on the beach, and you see like a bunch of water, and I relate that to financial freedom. Being free to do what I want, when I want, wherever I want, with whoever I want. And then I have someone on the beach typing on their laptop. And one of my goals is to have an online business where you can work from wherever.
Yeah.
You have that mobility to move around.
I love that.
And then the next one is like a 400-unit apartment complex. And then my title for it is real estate mogul. So I'd like to, my end goal is 10,000 units. And that's that one. And then I also have the dream home. So my dream idea is somewhere where there's mountains in the background, and then there's also the beach. So like Southern California would be a great example of that, but there's other places obviously.
Yeah.
So I have a photo of a home on the beach with the mountains in the background. It looks pretty dope, actually. And then the next one is I have an Aston Martin DB9 photo. It's the James Bond car. I grew up watching James Bond, and I think the Aston Martin's pretty sick, so that would be like the exotic car I would get.
Yeah.
And three more. So I have one that's a picture of a family holding up individual letters that spell out the word family, and I don't know if you can see it
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah, we can see that. I think it's flipped backwards on Instagram, but it's okay.
Yeah, but the idea is I want to have a family, and it actually fits perfectly where it's like a husband, a wife, and then two kids. So that's like the ideal setup I want to have.
Yeah.
And the one right below that is Tony Robbins on stage, he's kind of like yelling, but
Uh-huh.
but the idea is I want to impact people's lives in the way, in the fashion that Tony Robbins has.
Yeah.
And then the last one is I have a book. It's like flipped open, and I want to write a book. So that's kind of like my visualization board that I look at each day.
Yeah, and you're working on that too, huh?
Yeah, and also have in here. Sorry, I traveled like I have this little manila folder
Uh-huh.
that's got all my paperwork in it that I read.
Right.
But anyway, I also have like a plan that I've created for how I want my life to go in terms of the goals, et cetera, et cetera.
So where can one learn how to create their own vision board? Because personally, I probably should do all those things that you're talking about, and I don't do that. I don't meditate really often at all, which I know is another huge thing that, successful people, millionaires, billionaires, they're all doing it. And then they're all doing what you're doing, what you just showed off. So how can somebody like me or somebody like our viewers learn where they can, find out more about that?
So there is a documentary that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
You guys have Netflix. It's called The Secret. And it's basically a video. Jack Cranfield, I believe, is the guy behind it. But basically, it's about the law of attraction. So, and Think and Grow Rich talks a little bit about this too. But,
Think and Grow Rich, the book by Napoleon Hill.
But basically, it just talks about attracting the things you want in life and manifesting that. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it every day, you read it every day, you start to believe it, and it becomes subconscious. You kind of program yourself. And I do want to mention
Steve?
that a lot of people I know, they say, well, God has a plan for my life, and I'm going to go with God's plan.
That's fine, yeah.
Well, my response to that
okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
From Jim Rohn, where he says a guy was farming a garden, and the garden was beautiful. So someone walked by and said, "Man, you have an amazing garden. God has really blessed you." And he said, "Well, you should have seen it when God had it all to himself."
Right.
God had it all to himself. It was a dirt patch that was nothing. But with God and this guy, they came together and created this masterpiece. So the idea is we play a part, right?
Yeah.
It's not God saying like, "Hey man, I got you. You sit on the couch, eat that sandwich. You'll be a millionaire next week, man."
Yeah,
like,
no.
It's like you got to take action and you got to seek those opportunities and play a part.
Yeah.
As well as
But then still be appreciative of what you have. That's very important too, and where you got it from and things like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that documentary, The Secret, on Netflix, and then a book called Think and Grow Rich, for sure, are two good starting points for that. So Lewis, Mr. Slowburn, over here smoking weed. That's not illegal in Massachusetts yet, I don't think. Or maybe it is legal. I don't know. Anyway, he said, how do you see yourself progressing within the next 10 to 15 years? He says, where do you see yourself in 10 to 15 years? And then Escobedo says, love where y'all's heads are at, which I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
So I guess I'll go first.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
In 10 years, I'll have 7 streams of income. I will have them averaging probably about the same amount. That way, if let's say I was to lose one of the incomes, I would have a leg to stand on still. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
yeah.
I wouldn't be fretting to figure out like, oh, where's my next paycheck coming from? You know what I mean? It's like I have multiple streams coming in.
Do you want to go dive a little bit deeper into multiple streams of income? Like, what does that really mean?
Yeah, so a couple of things that I wanted to do is create several businesses. Obviously, real estate. So you can have multiple. Well, I'm going to have multiple businesses within real estate, and I'm currently working on that right now. Just a little preview is syndicating a fund for large multifamily units. Basically, that's like pooling investors together to purchase large multifamily units. But I also have my personal real estate business with a business partner where we do buy and holds. We just rent the homes out to people. And the tenant pays the note, plus we get cash flow on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is, with those businesses, is to scale them. That way I'm working on the business, not working in the business. And scaling and automation is kind of like the kick I'm on right now, is like what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So in 10 years, I want to have a couple businesses scaled and several automated on their way to being scaled.
Right. So these businesses, you don't even really, since they're automated, you don't even really do much work in them at all at that point.
Well, you become like, if you will, like an executive. So
Yeah.
you have people below you doing the tasks that are time consuming, but you make the executive decision, if you will, on what ultimately needs to be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can have someone who calls your leads, who does your analysis for you,
mm-hmm.
and then you're ultimately the executive saying, hey, let's move forward to put an offer in on this property, or, I want to go see this, or something like that.
Okay.
And then you can obviously relate that to any of that you want. Like, let's say you want to put a product in production, you have someone do market research for you, you have someone set up a website for you, you have XYZ done, and then you say, okay, after all of that, you make the executive decision of what products you're selling or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, and then and obviously I want to have like a book about my life. Like I currently like journal all the time just to document things that go on, and just things I think are cool, and memories that I can look back and just smile on and say like, damn, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Like that was really sick, or I can't believe that even happened. What are the odds of that happening? Just to look back and just kind of smile and be thankful and grateful for where I've been and where I'm at.
So that's your 10 to 15 then? 10 to 15 years? You want to be financially free with multiple, you said 7 or 8 maybe, streams of income?
I'll have at least 7.
At least 7 streams of income. Half of them you said are going to be completely automated, so you're really not going to even do much of anything work-wise with that. And then the other ones, I don't know, that might just be like personal book writing or blogging or something like that. But
having a personal brand is one of the things I'd like to do.
What's up, everybody?
Like, I guess market influence.
Yeah.
Like an influencer on Instagram or whatever. Like ideally, that would be really cool to be an influencer.
So I guess I'll go ahead and answer that question. So everybody who's watching, go ahead and ask one question. We're talking about taking action, we're talking about lifestyle, all these things, business. And somebody just asked, where you're going to be at in 10 to 15 years. So you had a beautifully thought out thing, but recently I've been diving into so many different things and testing, what works for me. And so honestly, now that I think about it, I haven't thought that far out with all these new things that I'm doing. For example, this podcast right here, I haven't thought out where I'm going to be with it in 10 years. I honestly don't know, and I need to figure that out. But one thing that I do want is definitely be financially free. I'm 19, when I'm 29, multi-millionaire, that's a given. But I mean, how am I even going to get there? And that's the thing. I haven't laid that all out. Right now, I'm just doing a testing phase. But next week, I think I'll throw down a whole thought map on that, and really have it all figured out for you guys, because it's kind of like a slap in the face or a kick in the balls right there. Like, why haven't I came up with a longer plan? I'm doing the day to day, but I'm not reaching far.
I got you, man. For those who do not know what financial freedom is, do you want to tell them what financial freedom is, or at least to you, what you think financial freedom is?
Oh yeah, I didn't even really think. I guess I just assumed. I mean, financially free. So, you have money coming in every month. Let's say, how much do you make at your job? Let's say it's $4,000, whatever. That's not that much, but every day you go into that job, you work, and I mean everybody understands that, and so you're trading time for money. So then you get your $4,000 every month for those 40 hours that you put into work. When you're financially free, it's completely flip-flopped. So you already put in the time and the money. You already put in the time. Definitely, I said money. Definitely need to put in money into this endeavor as well. So that you can remove yourself from that business, like what he was saying earlier, get people under you to do the day-to-day tasks, and then you still have money coming in. So it's really simple when you think about it. You know, these people who are business owners, you think about Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, you know, you think about Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon. They're not going down there and picking up customer support calls. They're not even going to the bank. They have a personal assistant do that. You know, but they still have a share of the entire business. So even if they completely remove themselves, they hire a CEO, they're still the founder, they still have shares, they're still making money off of the net income of the company. And then at that point, you can take that money and put it towards philanthropy. So donating to causes that you care about, or putting it towards, you know, just simply traveling the world, having a great time, throwing parties. But at the same time, you know, you still want to be enjoying life as that whole journey is on the way, or whole journey is kind of making its whatever.
Yeah.
Have you thought about vlogging, like talking to the camera? You just filmed your everyday life and what you do, it go through on the day-to-day basis and other stuff, talk about things. Okay. So have you ever thought about vlogging your day-to-day? You kind of do that a little bit on the stories.
Yeah, I definitely should start doing that more. But I'm picking it up, right? I'm getting a little bit better at it, but I am camera shy still. But yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, so for me, I recently committed, it was a couple weeks ago, I committed on Instagram to post every single day. And then, you know, I'm trying my best to basically build a following on Instagram, and I'm mainly focusing on Instagram right now. And actually just today I started posting on stories, aside from this live podcast, obviously. But so now I'm thinking I'm going to post one a day at least, and then also post on story once a day. And eventually, you know, I'm going to move to a Facebook page of me, and then obviously move to Snapchat, and then whatever new social media comes out, I'm going to move there, and then I'm going to put things on YouTube. Like this is going up on YouTube, this is going up on iTunes eventually as well. So, you know, I'm definitely getting into that, but I'm kind of doing baby steps, you know. One thing I learned is that you can't, you know, jump all in, balls to the wall into a new business and expect major success. You have to, you're on step 0 right now. You're on, you know, the sidewalk. You have to step up to step 1 and get comfortable there. And then after that, once you're comfortable, or maybe even once you're slightly less uncomfortable, you try to step up to step 2. And that's really how it goes. You just got to take these baby steps to get where you want to be.
Yep. You're exactly right.
But yeah.
And something we spoke about last week on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Mamba mentality that Kobe Bryant mentioned in that motivational video.
The mob mentality?
Mamba, M-A-M-B-A.
Okay, like the snake.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the Mamba mentality is basically, you know, if you work 4 hours a day and I work 8 hours a day,
yeah,
I'm being twice as productive, but let's compound that over 5 years. If I'm working 8 hours a day and you're working 4 hours a day, I will have exponentially outdone you.
And that's the baby steps.
And that's the baby steps. It's taking those baby steps, and then next thing you know, a year down the road, you're like way up here in terms of steps, and now you're taking maybe larger steps.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a compounding effect, right? But it all starts with getting started, right? It's like, you know, to run a marathon, you have to take the first step. You know?
Yeah, I'll pass on the marathon though. You can run a marathon if you want, but I'm not gonna do all that mess.
Maybe I'll do that sometime in my life, but for now, I'll pass.
Okay. Well, anyway, unless you got some closing remarks, I think this was a pretty good show.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah.
Well, what's your YouTube channel?
Oh, right. So if you want to find this on YouTube at a later date, you can go to, you can just search up my name, Joe Godin. That's Joe, and last name Godin, Godin. My Instagram is where it's live. That's Joe P. Godin. You know, it's also live on my personal Facebook, but eventually I'm going to move it over to my Facebook page, and that's Joe Godin, obviously, on Facebook. What about you, Kris?
So you can, all my handles are the same. It's Kris Kolstad, Kris Kris, Kolstad KOHLSTEDT. That's Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat's Kris_Kolstad, LinkedIn's Kris Kolstad, Twitter's Kris Kolstad as well.
Right.
YouTube, same. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, and we might be reaching out to some of you willing guests. If you want to be on the show, we're more than happy to put you through a little interview and you know, get incredibly interactive with our following. So I'll try to get in touch with some of you guys, or you can reach out to me. That works too. What do you think?
Hey, I like it, man.
Yeah. There you go. All right, guys. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night, and make it a very, very productive week. Peace.
Take action this week.
Yes, sir.